So here we go. Sriram, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
So what were the basics mantra of your success?
You can't say that this success of any behind the success of any person there is any shortcut thing called a mantra. Because the basic, if you want to put it in one word or two words, the basic mantra is, you can say, hard work. Or rather than calling it hard work, people can always say that you have to work hard for any exam. Rather than calling it hard work, I would say smart work. For this exam, because you know how big the syllabus is, how vast, how many things you have to study, you have to know everything, literally everything under the sun. That is what they call about this exam. So, that being the nature of the exam, you need to work smart. You need to know what to read, what not to read, what to know about, what not to know about. To what depth you have to know certain things, to what depth you have to know certain other things. So you have to think smart and plan your strategy. So that is what basically smart planning. That is what I did.
So what were your strategies for the lengthy syllabus for general studies for both the prelims as well as mains?
Yes. So prelims, I wouldn't say that the prelims and the mains are two separate exams and that you have to take a separate preparation for both of them. My strategy was more of an integrated kind of approach. That is what all of us friends used to say about this exam. Because especially with the new pattern where you don't have an option for the main prelims, it has become all the more easy. The prelims in one sense has become more easy because the second paper, as you can see, the second paper has become very generalist. Anyone can come and just attempt the paper and score a good mark. So the preparation for the prelims is actually integrated along with the preparation for the mains. So the prelims is what we used to say among our friends is that the prelims is something you get as a bonus for preparing for the mains. So it is. I would suggest that you start right away preparing for the mains. If for people who are writing next year, you should start preparing for the mains, and what you achieve through your preparation for the mains will be very useful for your prelims. And just keep in mind that prelims has an extra paper called CSAT, and ensure that you keep practicing CSAT once in a while, probably daily. You dedicate half an hour or 1 hour for CSAT every day. That would do, because you don't need any other kind of preparation for the exams.
So it is like a bonus.
Yes. So you get a bonus for preparing well for the mains. That is the prelims.
So start with mains is the best strategy.
That is the best strategy.
Okay. So what was the basis of selecting your options?
Actually, till last year we had two options. So one of those options was medical science. That was something I was studying for the past 6 years. So I had no doubt about going for medical science. The second option definitely was zoology. It is not a very common one. It is generally considered very difficult and low scoring. But I had my own reasons for choosing zoology, because my first and most important thing was coming from a science background, being a person who studied science for the past 6-7 years. I was definitely more comfortable studying a science subject rather than choosing a subject like history or public administration that was more into humanities and things like that. I was more comfortable studying a science subject.
So you selected option subject based upon your strength?
Yes, based on my strength and weakness, that's all.
So now the question is, how did you plan for your optional strategy? Like how did you plan for your optional to score high? Was there a specific strategy? After selecting your optional subject?
After selecting my optional subject, one thing I decided was that I would definitely stick to the syllabus. Because if you just start reading zoology from one end to the other, there will be no end to it. Or medicine for the same fact. So I decided that I would definitely stick to the syllabus and ensure that I could cover at least 80 to 90% of the given syllabus. So that was my strategy. And for that, I ensured that beforehand I knew where to study what for. Each part of the syllabus should be studied from what textbook or what material or from what person. I had already planned beforehand. So then I made a very rigid timetable. A timetable, not a rigid one. I made a timetable along with my friends. I had a couple of friends and we sat and studied.
So it was like based upon syllabus as well as on my friends. Now, did you follow the myth that only so-called popular option subject should be opted?
I think we have already discussed that. No, never.
What was the source of information for reading? General reading. What was the source?
General reading, of course, like everyone else says, my most important source was the Hindu newspaper. And I used to read up based on the Hindu. I used to read up on the internet things that I did not understand from the newspaper. So the internet and especially Wikipedia was a second bigger source, you can say, for my general reading. I also used to follow this couple of online websites. General knowledge websites, like GK Today, for example. That was one thing we all used to follow. That was very useful for me.
One question is, how did you come to know about these sources?
Through friends. No, Hindu and Wikipedia and all that are things that everyone knows. Anyone who comes into this field knows that he has to read the Hindu. But the other things came out of discussion and with friends.
With friends, you can do that. Now, moving away from general studies, we have how did you prepare for essay paper? Tell us something about that.
I had not actually prepared anything for the essay paper because it is a general understanding, at least in our part of the country, that like I told you about the prelims, the essays, the knowledge and the points that you require for writing an essay, it is something that you gain through your GS preparation. And the style of writing and all those things are things that you pick up while you read the paper and the magazines or whatever you read. You need to consciously think that yes, you have to understand the style of writing. You have to understand how an essay is written. While you read an article, also give impact or stress on the way it is written, rather than just the content.
The way it is
the language and the way an article is written, especially all those big articles that come in the Hindu, at the center page of the Hindu. That is the style in which you have to write an essay. So when you read a big article of that kind, give more emphasis on the style of writing as well. That will help for the essay.
So there is not any special preparation?
No, I do not have any special source or strategy for this.
Now coming to this question, how much time one should devote for preliminary and mains? How much time
per day?
Per day, and not in the sense of 6 months or 1 year?
I believe the moment you decide to write the exam is the time you should start preparing. I had decided to write the exam 2 months before the prelims last year. So that is when I started preparing. For people who have decided to write it next time, I think this is the best time to start. No time will become too much.
You actually prepared for PT for 2 months, just 2 months before?
Yeah.
And mains just after the result or
after
just
the result? After the result.
After the result only seriously tried.
That was last time when I did not...
for the first attempt?
Yeah.
For second attempt you did?
Second attempt also after the result only, because I did not have time to prepare before the result. I was already studying something else.
Now, how did you manage your time in both prelims and mains examinations? In the examination hall, how did you
Yes, time management I believe is the most important. What is something I tell my friends always. Management of time and space when you write the exam is very, very important. Because once you start exceeding your space limit, then naturally your time limit will also start exceeding itself. Once you start exceeding your time limit, your space limit will also exceed itself.
Both are the same.
They are interrelated. So managing both those things are the most integral part of this exam process. So for that, what I used to do was I used to write down on the side of the question paper at what time I had to finish each and every question. In terms of real time, not in terms of minutes, in terms of time.
Time.
Yes, I had to finish the first exam at 9:35, the second question at 9:40, the third question at 9:40.
Depending upon the words and
depending upon the marks allotted to the weightage allotted to the question, I used to plan beforehand. So that helped me to keep time, because anywhere I used to fall back by 2 or 3 minutes, I ensured that I cut that time from the next question. So that way I could manage time. You can have your own strategy. People have their own strategy for managing time, but managing time nevertheless is the most important part.
The kind of pre-planning is required before starting.
Yes, you have to plan beforehand as to how you are going to manage time. Once you go and sit there, you will have no idea. You just start off like that and you won't have any control over your writing.
What is the most difficult part of this entire examination and why? And what was your strategy to tackle this difficult part? Is it prelims, mains?
Difficulty varies from person to person. As far as I was concerned, my biggest task as far as the exam was concerned was to manage time, because I had a very short duration of time in front of me for preparation. I had to prepare within a period of 2 to 3 months for the mains. So 3 months is a very short period of time when you are starting to prepare. So managing that time between GS and the 2 optional subjects, and then ensuring that you cover the syllabus of both optionals, ensuring that you read all available materials for GS, it was very difficult. So managing that time I found very difficult, and that was possible only through group study.
And compared to prelims and mains, which will be you will be saying that it's difficult.
Prelims, as I told you earlier, is not a difficult thing at all. It is something that just happens in the process of preparation. You don't need to do anything extra for the preparation.
By practice you can. Yeah. I think this answered already. Did you integrate your prelims and mains preparation?
Yes.
It is, yes. How helpful are the note making? Okay.
Yes.
What is advice in note making?
Note making is something that I want to tell you about, because I have seen people making huge, extensive, vast notes. And to be frank, I have not made notes at all. I have not made much of notes at all. Very, very minimal notes I have made. And those notes have been very useful to me. If you can ask me, my notes run into probably around 50 pages. The whole of GS.
Whole of GS in 50?
In 50 pages. Only the very, very, very essential things. And there are people who make notes of everything they read in the Hindu every day. Or every article they come across, they make cuttings. So ultimately what happens is, in the process of making that note or the cutting, you don't give enough stress on the article. You don't read it properly. You are, but your mind is fully engrossed in making the note. So you will be totally involved in making the note that you don't read the article properly. So the first reading is gone. And end of the day, what happens is your note becomes so huge that you won't go through the note also. So you have 2 copies of the same thing, and you have not read it even once properly.
So note making, if at all,
it is not a very essential part of your preparation. If at all, it is that you can't study without making notes. Ensure that your notes are crisp, small, and readable.
And it is taken only after.
Very handy. And it is done only after you ensure that you have read the article properly. And then the second reading should go with the note making.
It is a very important question. What are your suggestions for the freshers?
I have already made many suggestions through the process of discussion. So the first and most important thing is to don't fear about the prelims. Don't think about it as some big thing that you have to first qualify and then you have to go for the mains. No. Prepare for the mains, the prelims will just happen on its own. The second most important thing is to manage time. Manage time for preparation, manage time for during the exam as well. Both cases, time is the most important thing that can work to your favor and work against you as well.
Time you are talking about during the preparation time?
Both. Time, wherever it comes, it is very important. And probably one advice I can give you, at least to people who can make it work out, is to go for group study wherever possible. In case of options, in case of GS, everywhere. Everywhere, yes. And do try to give some notice to the way answers are written, the way articles are written, so that you pick up something on the way as to how to write answers.
Particularly from the newspaper?
Yes, from the newspaper. Not so you get to know what words to use where, all those things. That can save a lot of time.
Okay. Going fast. You are comfortable. Start.
Okay.
What was your style of writing in the exam? How was it distinct from the general writing style? How did you develop this writing style?
No, I wouldn't say that I have any definitive or distinctive style of writing at all. But I was comfortable with writing descriptive answers from before. So probably because from the background I came from, we had lots and lots to write during our college. Maybe it's the degree that demands a lot of writing from you. We have so many papers and so that run into pages and pages and pages. You naturally develop this kind of an art for a taste for writing long answers. So it was nothing new to me. But there are people who find writing long answers very difficult. As far as I was concerned, my concern was to cut short the size rather than not being able to write. My problem was writing more than what was required. So I had to restrict myself to the given page and time.
That means you understood your way of writing and
yes. So what I would say is you don't need to have any distinctive style of writing or anything. But you should be comfortable with writing answers. You should not be in a fix. You know the answer but you can't express it. That should not be the case.